I want you to cast your mind back to around 2019. We were going into the 11th season of Ninjago and there was a leaked trailer that showed Ninjago not exactly in the best light. Visually speaking, the season just wasn't really looking all that good and people were definitely worried. But in reaction to that, Tommy Andreasen decided to post a screenshot from the first episode of the 11th season, and it's the one that you see on screen, and it looks absolutely gorgeous looking. And that's the thing, one of the main things that made it look so good was the lighting. But little did we know that this was going to spawn a very weird era when it does come to the show. Ninjago has always been a show that's had some decent lighting here and there. The Oni trilogy was pretty good when it came to the lighting, but generally speaking the classic era just kind of had a more flat appearance with the odd bit of good looking lighting. But it felt like this was the new era of the show. It felt like this was going to be the time where we got much better looking lighting within the show. But turns out it was just the beginning of the problem. Because whilst we did have moments of this fantastic looking lighting, we also had some not so good instances. So join me today as I highlight some of the more interesting moments when it does come to Ninjago's lighting, try and provide some form of explanation and try to figure out what was truly going on, because some of these were just simply wedged between better looking shots, whereas some of these other ones were honestly just kind of weird to just witness. To start off, I am going to highlight a section of time where the Ninjago lighting problem was at its worst, and that was the 11-minute era, and that's to not say that there is no good lighting within this era. The thing is that I have plenty of examples to show you of what you would expect, considering that this is what they've done. The very first episode of season 11 plays with lighting absolutely beautifully. The immediate shot that we get of Asphira at the beginning of Zane's vision is something that is absolutely breathtaking to see. It plays with lighting perfectly, and it gives us a true example of what Wildbrain are truly capable of. This episode is just absolutely breathtaking from front to back. There are so many different shots and so many different moments that just look brilliant. This is what we were expecting with Wildbrain lighting when they were coming around. Like I said, this is the episode where Tommy actually got the example of what the lighting actually looked like, and this episode definitely did fill us with a lot of hope. The season 11 episode A Rocky Start also did this very well. There are so many moments within this episode that also follow through with this brilliant looking lighting, mainly when they are in the desert, but it does just look so good. You can see how it plays the reflections, you can see how the ninja's movement impacts the lighting. I really do think they did really well to demonstrate what they were truly capable of. The episode Unlikely Ally also did this. We have a shot from this season where Lloyd is using his elemental power within the dark, and again the lighting is a perfect reflection. The green really has a presence, and you can tell that Lloyd is using his elemental power. These are the examples from season 11 of how lighting was meant to be. This is an incredible looking era when it does come to lighting. Or is it? Between all of these amazing looking moments, you get shots like this one. This shot of the ninja within the corridor is so unbelievably ugly looking. There is literally not a single shadow within this shot. There is the very slightest little glimmer of a shadow, and that is basically it. I don't know how this shot got through the cracks. In my opinion, this is an instance of maybe they missed it, maybe they didn't, I'm not entirely certain. But this is a moment that makes you realize that these shots definitely do exist. Another great one is from the exact same episode where we have Lloyd's amazing looking green light. The thing is that in shots like this one, we also get a very flat looking Lloyd. And I think this is where we start to acknowledge what the problem is that for certain shots, they put a lot of time and a lot of effort into the lighting. They try to make it look as nice and sharp as possible. And I think that is a fantastic thing, don't get me wrong. But I do also think they need to strike a balance. Whilst, like I said, these shots are absolutely brilliant looking, you can't have one without the other. You need to have this balance, you need to have a nice equilibrium between all these shots, so the show, if anything, just looks consistent. And I think that is the problem. It seems to be that Wildbrain were putting their attention into certain shots and just simply not others. This carried through to season 13 Master of the Mountain. The final shot where all the ninja are leaving Shintaro looks absolutely brilliant looking. These bits of lighting are fantastic. It's reflective, it's affected by movement, it has everything that you expect within lighting. It honestly is just so nice to look at, and I'm so glad that they do give us these scenes. But again, you go to just simply a few minutes before where they're at the ceremony and you can see again that no characters have any form of shadowing, maybe a little bit on the hair respectively, but all of them are just sat there in a very flat looking light, if you can even call it light. And that is again the problem. Why is it that some scenes in an episode have nothing whatsoever, whereas other ones have this beautiful looking aesthetic? You can't have one without the other, and I think that is something that honestly Wildbrain were missing. The island did this. We had certain shots like when the ninja was saving Jay from being a gift, and we actually get a couple moments where the light actually does have some form of reflection. Again, Lloyd's elemental power has light, fire has light, and that is really cool. But again, there are so many moments where the ninja just stand out. There's nothing going on for the ninja, and it feels like they were just superimposed into the shot. And last but not least was Crystallize, who also had this exact same problem. Certain shots getting this beautiful looking light, getting these really nice looking aesthetics, just for the rest of the episode to not get it. The final shot of Roots has some amazing looking lighting. I think honestly they really did nail it in all of those aspects. But again, you just go to simply a few minutes before where things just look flat once more. But you may look at this and you'll think to yourself, well Weavy, why does this matter? Some shots have lighting and some don't, and that is completely fine. And I would agree with you on that, because it's just the odd clip, it's the odd minute, and it's nothing overly too bad. But note how I didn't include 2 seasons from the 11-minute era, and that of course being Seabound and also Prime Empire. And that's because they suffer from this problem, but worse. When looking through the problem of Ninjago's 11-minute era lighting, I noted that both of these seasons have a commonality between the two of them, and it's that they suffer from these really poor looking shots where there's no lighting. But the difference is that these ones is all that they have. These shots and some of these episodes suffer from basically nothing in the way of lighting, and it just makes the really ugly looking episodes. Seabound's finale is honestly not the worst of the bunch. There's still at least the odd moment or two, but Nia's funeral is just very flat looking. Nia's sacrifice is also very flat looking. There's the odd bit of sun, but that is truly it. And again, whilst there are maybe the odd bit of shadows here and there, they don't really have much else. It leads to this really weird aesthetic, and I can't nail it. It just looks almost cheap. And I can't lie, this definitely did have me worried at the time, because it's something that I noticed quite early on. I was genuinely scared because it looked like Ninjago was honestly getting cheapened out by LEGO, and it's just scary to think that that was the case, because like I said, Seabound was looking very weird looking. But funnily enough, again, I still haven't mentioned Prime Empire, and that's because it's the worst of the bunch. Prime Empire has the honour of being the season with basically no lighting. All of the problems I brought up before with the odd shot or the odd scene is here amplified, and I'm going to use the finale of the season to prove it. Typically speaking, these episodes get the most budget of the bunch, but you can see from these shots, Ninjago City has no lighting. Jay, no lighting. The dragons, no lighting. Zane, Wu, Pixel, all of them have absolutely no lighting. It is gone. It is literally non-existent, and it looks extremely ugly when you realize it. Ninjago City is literally the best example of this. Any shot of that season, it will more specifically within the city, is just absolutely ugly looking. There is nothing going on. And again, even in the finale, where it's overcast so you could argue that there's not meant to be any sort of lighting, there is still nothing in the way of shadow. There is no source of light. There is nothing that actually indicates any lighting. There is just simply none. And all of that is no further amplified than the shot you see on screen of the red visors. This shot is the reason I made this video. This shot is by far the biggest problem. They look like they're not rendered. It looks like they're not meant to be there. It looks like I edited them in. This shot is by far the worst I've seen of it. Again, Ninjago City has nothing in the background. And the worst thing is that the red visors look like they're floating. I don't know what happened in this moment, and I'm shocked that this was actually allowed to be the case. How does something like this happen? How do whole seasons suffer from no lighting whatsoever? Honestly, I don't know. My only theory is that they cheapened out on the animation. They just simply didn't have the budget because it was 2020. But you realize that this was made pre any sort of 2020 events. It wouldn't have been because of that. This season is basically just the byproduct of them not really bothering, and it really is scary to look at. By not bothering, I mean LEGO not bothering to allow WildBrain to do what they were truly meant to do. That is my opinion. I think LEGO in this moment just simply didn't provide the correct budget to make these episodes. And like I said, it just led to this problem. And that is the lighting problem. Why is it that some of the episodes look so good, look so beautiful looking, look so fantastic to look at, and then other ones just look like this? The 11-minute era should have had a consistent feel. They should have had a consistency when it does come to the lighting. If that means compromising certain shots to make others actually look like they have lighting, then I am perfectly okay with that. And I wish LEGO was as well, but the thing is that it simply seems like they just didn't want to do that. And that is the problem with its lighting. But what makes this funnier to me is that would you be shocked to hear that Dragon's Rising fixed the problem but in the complete opposite direction? Dragon's Rising was actually really good in terms of its lighting. Each shot was fairly consistent and there wasn't shots that were missing shadows. Honestly, the season as a whole looks very good, but they went from no lighting to almost too much. Which is the second part of this problem. Dragon's Rising made things too saturated. And you may be saying, well, you can't have one without the other, and that's the thing. We can, because it does feel like in recent time they have actually fixed it. But I'm going to take you back to the first season of Dragon's Rising, where we would see the monastery looking like this. This is just simply too far in the other direction. I think this was too much lighting, and again, I do think they acknowledge this because the monastery never looks like this again. Season 1 is the only time where the monastery looks this colourful, and conceptually speaking, I do like it. Honestly, makes really good thumbnail fodder. But the thing is that it also is just too much of a good thing. You can have too much lighting if you really did try, and this is proof of that. But like I said, it now at least feels like they have gone in the other direction, and I am very thankful for the fact that they have done that. I'm liking the fact that Dragon's Rising is very consistent in what the lighting actually offers. Sword has reflections, light actually is affected by things, light actually functions as it's meant to. I think honestly, they have nailed the consistency when it does come to it, and it's why Dragon's Rising looks so good, and why honestly, when I look back at the 11-minute era, I'm just kind of disappointed. And I think that is my overall. This problem when it did come to the 11-minute era lighting definitely has left a stain on those seasons. I can't not watch Prime Empire without looking at the very flat lighting. Same thing for Seabound. And I think that is a shame, because it does go to show that lighting is very important, and when you do suffer from inconsistencies like this, it does lead to bad things. And I want to say one thing, no hate to WildBrain. They have done a fantastic job with the animation and the lighting since season 11. It's just every once in a while, it just felt like the ball was dropped, but I truly don't think that was within their control, and that is why I do kind of blame LEGO for that. But please don't hate me, Big Brick. I just simply hope that Dragon's Rising continues to be as consistent as it is within its lighting scope, and from what we know so far of Season 4, it definitely looks like that is going to be the case, and I am very happy for that, because it means that we're officially past this problem, and I'm glad to know that Ninjago actually has fixed it, and I'm just excited to see what they do with it in the future, because maybe it will continue to evolve, and we will enter a new era of fantastic looking Ninjago lighting. But rambling and very weird topic aside, thank you very much for watching, and let me know if you want these kind of videos where I analyze very weird and specific things about the show. And also, what is your favorite instance of Ninjago lighting? What is your favorite shot when it does come to lighting within Ninjago? I'm very curious to know, because I do think it's interesting when you think of the show within that scope. And also, did you ever notice any of these shots where there's just no shadow, no reflection, no nothing? I'm very curious to know how widespread these instances are actually known, because it's just interesting to see. But again, thank you very much for watching, and I do hope you enjoyed. And if you did, please consider subscribing. I love discussing Ninjago with more people. And if you do want to support the channel any further, which you do not have to, you can become a channel member and join the legends on screen. Thank you to each and every single one of you. I really appreciate the support. But like I said, that is about it for today, and take care. Okay, bye!